The stars stretched across the galaxy like endless silver dust, a map of light and darkness that had guided explorers for centuries. Every world, every station, every trade route was carefully marked on the great galactic maps. The Council of Species had always trusted these maps, for they showed the reach of civilization. But one day, when the latest map was updated, the council chambers fell into silence. The map ended suddenly at the edge of human space. Beyond that border there was nothing. No colonies, no signals, no sound. Just a vast emptiness that no one could explain. At first the council thought it was an error, some mistake in the star charts. But the explorers checked again, and again the same result appeared. The map ended with human space, and silence was the only response. Some council members laughed nervously, saying that humans were simply too small, too young, too primitive to matter. But others felt something darker in their hearts. How could an entire region of space remain quiet when every other empire shouted with trade, war, and communication? Silence was not peace. Silence was danger. Rumors began to spread across the galaxy. Traders whispered in crowded ports that humans had secrets. Soldiers spoke of human ships that never sent signals, never asked for help, never joined alliances. Some said humans were hiding because they were weak. Others said they were hiding because they were strong. The mystery grew, and fear grew with it. Silence can be louder than war. The council decided to act. They ordered scouts and probes to enter human space, to listen, to watch, to search for answers. The first probes went in quietly, moving between the stars like shadows. Their machines searched for signs of life, for energy signals, for the noise of civilization. But what they found was worse than nothing. They found empty stations orbiting lifeless moons. They found outposts where lights still glowed, but no bodies walked the halls. They found machinery still running, but no voices spoke. It was as if humans had built the structures, then vanished into the void. The probes tried to send deeper signals, but each time the messages returned the same way. Silence. Not static, not broken words, not interference. Pure silence. The kind of silence that made even the most advanced machines pause as if they too felt uneasy. On the council world, scientists studied the data and argued. Some claimed humans had destroyed themselves. Others believed humans had found a way to block all communication. And some whispered of older stories, legends of predators that hunted civilizations by following their noise. Perhaps, they said, humans had learned to hide by becoming silent. The council, restless and uneasy, ordered a crewed mission. A small alien vessel was chosen, fast and quiet, with a crew of explorers and spies. Their task was simple: enter human space, see what was there, and return alive. The crew agreed, though not without fear. When the ship left, a hush fell over the council chambers, as if everyone was holding their breath. Even the stars seemed dimmer that night. The alien ship crossed the border of human space. At first, everything seemed normal. The stars burned the same, the darkness was the same, the distance was the same. But soon, the crew noticed something strange. The background noise of the universe, the natural radio whispers of stars and planets, grew weaker. Space itself seemed quieter here, as if sound and life were being swallowed. The crew exchanged worried glances but pressed on. They passed the ruins of an old station. It was large, clearly human-made, with symbols written across its hull. The ship's scanners read power inside, but no movement. The crew debated whether to board it, but the captain ordered them forward. The deeper they traveled, the stranger it became. Human outposts floated around barren worlds, all powered, all maintained, but without voices, without signals, as if someone was there, but hiding, always hiding. The youngest member of the crew whispered, "Maybe the humans are gone." Another replied, "Or maybe they are waiting." No one laughed. The silence of the void pressed on their minds like a weight. Every shadow in the stars felt like it was watching. Every flicker of light felt like a warning. Back on the council worlds, the signals from the scout ship came through in fragments. The counselors leaned forward, hungry for answers. their hearts beating with fear and excitement. But the fragments only carried the same words: abandoned, empty, quiet, strange. Then one fragment arrived that made the chamber tremble. The captain's voice, calm but cold, saying, "We are being watched." The signal cut off. The council waited for more, but nothing followed. Minutes turned to hours, hours to days. No further messages came. The scout ship was gone. Silence swallowed it, the same way silence swallowed everything in human space. Panic struck the council. Some demanded war, to burn human space with fire until answers were found. Others begged for caution, saying war against the unknown was suicide. The traitors whispered louder now, saying humans had become shadows, building weapons in the dark. Children were told stories of the silent humans, who might be monsters or saviors. Fear spread faster than truth. But the truth remained the same. The galactic map ended at human space. The border of the known galaxy stopped where humanity began. And beyond that border, silence ruled like a king. For the explorers, silence was the most terrifying sound of all. For the council, it was a mystery, too dangerous to ignore. And for the galaxy, it was only the beginning of a story that would change everything. The silence was not empty. It was full of secrets, full of danger, full of answers that no one was ready to hear. And somewhere, deep in that silence, humans were watching. The council could not sit still after the disappearance of the first scout ship. Too many eyes in the galaxy were watching, too many whispers growing louder with every passing day. The great map still ended at human space, and silence still pressed against that border like a wall. Curiosity and fear battled in every heart. So the council gathered again, their voices raised in argument. Some demanded more probes, others demanded fleets. In the end, compromise was made. A second mission would be sent, but this time not unmanned. A crew would go, a team of explorers and warriors combined, chosen from different species united by one duty: discover the truth about humans. The crew prepared in silence, knowing what had happened to the first ship. Families wept quietly as goodbyes were made, but pride was mixed with sorrow. To step into human space was to step into the unknown, and the unknown had already swallowed others whole. Yet still the crew boarded their sleek black vessel, built for stealth and speed, carrying tools of exploration and weapons of war. They told themselves they were ready, though none truly believed it. When the ship crossed the border into human space, the same feeling washed over them. The universe grew quieter, as if even the stars had lowered their voices. Their instruments hummed with confusion, recording strange readings that could not be explained. One crew member muttered that space itself felt heavier here, as if eyes were hidden in the dark, watching, judging. The captain ordered silence. Even breathing seemed too loud. Days passed as they drifted deeper. Human stations appeared in the distance, half-lit skeletons against the void. They approached one carefully. Lights glowed inside the station, but there was no signal, no greeting, no warning. Against their fear, the crew docked. The doors hissed, open, and the explorers stepped inside. Dust lay thick on the floors, yet the machine still ran. Power thrummed through the walls. Lights burned steadily, but no footsteps echoed in the halls. It was as if the humans had walked out only moments before, leaving everything running behind them. The explorers split into teams, searching the silent corridors. They found storage rooms filled with supplies, armories filled with weapons, and control rooms still blinking with unread data. But no bodies, no voices, not even a trace of where the humans had gone. One alien whispered that this was worse than finding corpses. The dead at least left answers. Silence left only questions. When they returned to the ship, the crew argued. Some wanted to go back, report what they had seen, and never return. Others wanted to push deeper, believing the humans must be somewhere further inside their space. The captain listened, then made the choice. They would go on. The truth was too close to stop now. Fear was a chain, and they would not let it bind them. The ship pressed forward past abandoned outposts and derelict stations, each more unsettling than the last. Strange signals flickered at the edge of their sensors like whispers in a language they could not understand. Sometimes shadows moved across their screens, vanishing before they could be tracked. Once, the youngest crew member swore she saw a figure standing at the window of a dead station watching them as they passed. But when the others looked, the window was empty, black and silent. One night, if night could exist in endless space, the silence broke. The ship's comms sparked to life with a single message. A voice, cold and sharp, filled the cabin with 2 words. Turn back. Every heart froze. The captain demanded the source, but the signal came from everywhere and nowhere, surrounding them like an unseen net. They tried to reply, but the voice did not answer. Silence returned, heavier than before. Panic grew inside the crew. How had humans detected them? Their vessel was cloaked with the finest stealth technology of the galaxy. They had moved carefully, silently, leaving no trail. Yet humans had seen them. Not only seen them, they had spoken directly, as if they were watching the whole time. The realization cut deep. They were not hunters in unknown territory. They were prey in a trap already set. Still, the captain refused to retreat. Pride, or perhaps desperation, guided the choice. They would continue until they saw humans with their own eyes. And so the ship drifted further, the crew clinging to fragile courage. That was when the human ships appeared. One by one, they slid out of the void, massive and black, silent as stone. No signals, no engines, no noise. Just dark shapes against the stars, surrounding the explorers in a slow, tightening circle. The alien crew froze, every weapon ready, every hand trembling. The human ships dwarfed them, not in size alone, but in presence. They seemed to absorb the very light around them, making the galaxy dimmer by their existence. The captain opened comms and spoke carefully. We come in peace, we seek only to understand. His voice shook, though he tried to keep it steady. Silence answered. The human ships drifted closer, their weapons hidden but their threat unmistakable. Then, without a word, one ship sent a beam of light toward the alien vessel. Not a weapon, but a guide, a command. The path was clear. They were to follow. The alien crew hesitated. To follow meant to give themselves into human hands. To refuse meant death. At last the captain nodded, and the ship obeyed. The humans led them deeper, past stars that seemed dimmer, past stations that were not empty but alive, yet still silent. Figures moved in the shadows of those stations, watching but never speaking. The explorers realized then that humans had never vanished. They had been there all along, hiding in silence, building in silence, waiting in silence. The alien crew felt the truth pressing on them. The silence was not weakness. It was control. It was a weapon sharper than any blade, heavier than any cannon. Humans had chosen silence, and in that silence they had become untouchable. When the alien ship finally stopped, surrounded on all sides by human vessels, the crew knew they had crossed the line from explorers to prisoners. And yet, no words were spoken, no orders given. The silence itself was the prison, and in that silence the crew realized something even more terrifying. The humans had not been silent to keep others out. They had been silent because they were watching what lay beyond, deeper still, in places no map dared to reach. The aliens were not the first to step into this silence, and they would not be the last. The alien crew sat frozen as the human ships encircled them, silent giants in the endless dark. No signals, no lights, no words, only presence. The silence grew heavier with every second, pressing on their minds until even breathing felt like a betrayal. The captain gripped the console, his hand trembling as he forced himself to speak again into the void. We come in peace. We seek knowledge. His words echoed across the comms, but the silence remained. It was not the silence of absence. It was the silence of choice. The humans had heard, and they had decided not to answer. Then, without warning, the silence broke. A single signal flooded their systems. It was not complex. It was not coded. It was two words, carved into every channel, every frequency, every wavelength. Turn back. The message appeared on their screens, in their ears, in the very hum of their ship. It was not just sound, it was command. The crew felt their bodies tense, as if the words themselves carried weight. Some wanted to obey at once. Others stared into the dark, hoping for something more. But the message was final. Turn back. The youngest crew member, her voice shaking, whispered, "Maybe they are afraid of us." No one believed it, but no one had the strength to argue. The captain, his pride unwilling to surrender, tried again. "We are explorers. We do not wish to harm. We only ask for understanding." His words were swallowed by silence. No reply. No signal. Nothing. Then, slowly, the human ships began to move. Not toward them, but around them, circling like predators that had already claimed their prey. The alien crew realized they were not being asked. They were being warned. The ship's navigator, pale and sweating, whispered that the humans must already know everything about them, their names, their mission, their weapons, their weakness. If they could detect a cloaked vessel, they could see everything. The silence was not ignorance. It was knowledge beyond measure. The alien crew felt smaller than ever, like insects trapped beneath a vast and unseen gaze. Just as fear threatened to shatter them, a sound cut through the silence. Not words this time, but a tone. Low, steady, impossible to ignore. The ship's systems flickered as data began to pour in. Symbols, images, coordinates. The crew stared in shock. The humans were sending them something. The data was not language, not any they knew, but a pattern, a rhythm, a message built in silence itself. The ship's machines struggled to translate, but the meaning bled through without words follow. The alien captain hesitated. To follow meant surrender. To resist meant destruction. Around them, the black ships hung motionless, patient as stone. The crew held their breath, waiting for his choice. Finally, with a voice like ash, he ordered, "Follow." Their ship aligned. With the coordinates and the human fleet moved as one, guiding them deeper into the dark. Hours passed in silence. The humans said nothing, yet their presence screamed louder than any threat. The alien crew tried to speak among themselves, but every word felt too loud, too dangerous. They whispered like thieves in a temple, glancing over their shoulders as though the silence itself would punish them. One crew member asked, trembling, "Why guide us? Why not kill us?" No answer came, only the steady drift of the human ships ahead. The silence was the answer, and it chilled them more than death. Then came the light. A human station appeared in the distance, vast and black, stretching across the stars like a sleeping beast. Its surface shone faintly, as though made of obsidian and shadow. No signals escaped it, no transmissions reached their scanners, yet the structure pulsed with hidden life, countless systems working in silence. The humans led them closer, closer until the alien ship docked with the great station. The crew's hearts raced, but no orders came. The docking clamp sealed with a final hiss, and then the human ships around them vanished into the void as if swallowed by the stars. The crew stood at the airlock, weapons ready, breaths shallow. The door opened, but no soldiers waited. No lights greeted them. Only an empty corridor stretched ahead, glowing faintly with soft white lines, guiding them forward. The silence here was absolute. Even their footsteps seemed too loud, echoing, like thunder. Every shadow felt alive. Every turn felt like a trap. Yet still they walked. Deeper inside, they found chambers filled with machines that defied their understanding, engines that hummed without heat, screens that flickered with symbols beyond their science. One crew member touched a panel, and it lit up. showing maps of stars they had never seen, regions beyond the known galaxy, marked with strange symbols and warnings. The alien navigator's voice shook as he whispered, "These maps go further than ours, further than anyone's, the humans. They know more." The realization cracked their courage. The humans had not disappeared. They had gone further than the rest, and they had returned. Then at last, a voice came. It was not in words they knew, but their translators bent under its weight until meaning broke through. A human voice, calm and steady, filled the chamber. "You were warned." The crew spun around, searching, but no figure stood behind them. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. The captain, shaking, forced himself to speak. "Why silence? Why hide?" For a long moment nothing answered. Then the voice returned, colder now. "Because the galaxy is loud, and noise brings predators." The words struck them harder than any weapon. The crew froze, staring at each other, each face pale with fear. Predators? What predators? The galaxy was vast, but it was mapped, known, safe, or so they believed. But if humans had chosen silence to survive, then what had they seen? What had they faced beyond the border of maps? The captain tried again, desperation leaking into his voice. "We must understand. We must know what hunts in the dark." But the voice faded, leaving them in silence once more. The machines dimmed, the maps vanished. Only the empty corridors remained, and the weight of what they had heard. The crew understood then. The silence was not weakness. It was not cowardice. It was survival, and humans had mastered it. When they returned to their ship, the corridor closed behind them without sound. The docking clamps released. Their vessel drifted free, untethered, into the quiet sea of human space. No human figure had been seen. No human face had appeared. Yet the message was clear. Turn back. As their ship turned slowly toward the edge of human space, the crew realized the most terrifying truth of all. The silence was not meant for them. It was meant for something else. Something out there, waiting beyond the stars. And the humans were not hiding from the galaxy. They were hiding the galaxy from what lay beyond. The alien crew returned to their ship in silence, each step heavy, each breath loud in their ears. The words of the unseen human voice burned inside them. Noise brings predators. No one spoke as the vessel drifted away from the massive, human station, guided not by command but by the weight of that warning. For the first time in their lives, the explorers felt that even the hum of their engines was a danger. Every vibration seemed like an invitation to something waiting in the dark. They longed to leave, to flee back to the council worlds, but fear chained them. If humans had chosen silence for survival, then what could be so terrible that even entire civilizations dared not speak? The crew gathered in the control room, faces pale, eyes fixed on the captain. Each of them waited for orders, but the captain had none. His mind battled itself. Retreat would save their lives, but it would also leave the galaxy blind to the truth. To stay meant risking everything, but to leave meant ignorance. He closed his eyes, hearing again the words that echoed across the empty corridors of the human station. Noise brings predators. His pride and his fear clashed until finally, his decision came. "We go deeper," he said. "We see what they are hiding." His voice trembled, but the choice was made. No one argued. Curiosity was as strong as terror. Their ship followed the hidden maps the humans had shown them, faint coordinates that stretched beyond the edge of known space. The further they traveled, the stranger the stars became. Many shone too brightly, while others flickered like dying candles. Worlds they passed were burned black, their surfaces cracked like broken glass. Signals of once living civilizations ghosted through their scanners, old and weak, like the dying cries of voices long gone. The crew shivered at every echo, for they began to understand. The galaxy had not always been loud. Once, long ago, it had been filled with silence, and that silence had been forced upon it by something greater. Then they found the first sign. A derelict ship, massive and broken, drifted through the void. It was not human, nor was it from any species the crew recognized. Its hull was torn open, not by battle but by something sharper, something deliberate. The wounds on its body seemed almost like claws. The crew scanned it carefully, but no life remained. Only silence, the same silence they carried with them now. "This is what they fear," whispered the navigator. "This is what hunts the noise." No one corrected him. More wrecks followed. Whole fleets, burned and broken, scattered like bones, in the void. Some were ancient, their hulls coated in the dust of centuries. Others were newer, fresher, their destruction recent enough that smoke still curled from their wounds. The alien crew watched with wide eyes as the pattern grew clear. Every fleet, every ship, every station destroyed had been sending signals once, calling out to the galaxy. And every one of them had been silenced. The predators were real. The humans had not lied. Fear threatened to break the crew, but then, in the distance, they saw light. A planet, alive and green, glowing like a jewel in the darkness. Against their terror, hope rose. Perhaps survivors lived there. Perhaps answers waited. They descended cautiously, but what they found was stranger still. The planet was alive, forests stretching across continents, oceans sparkling like mirrors. Yet no cities marked its surface. No signals rose from its ground. And yet, their scanners told them life was there. Intelligent life. Millions of signals, millions of minds. But not a single one spoke. The planet was silent. They landed on its surface, their steps careful, their voices low. The forest swayed in the wind, but even the animals made no sound. Birds flew overhead, but their wings were silent. The rivers flowed, but no splash could be heard. The silence was not absence. It was law. They moved deeper until they found them, humans. Not one, not two, but many, walking among the forests, working with machines, building quietly in the shadows of the trees. They moved with purpose, their eyes sharp, their steps careful, but they made no sound. Even their tools were designed to be silent. The explorers froze as the humans turned their heads, watching them without a word. The silence was unbearable, pressing like a weight against their chests. Finally, one human raised a hand in greeting, but still no sound came. The captain stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Why do you hide? Why do you not speak?" For a long time, the humans only stared. Then one of them, a woman with dark eyes, moved closer. Her lips parted, and words finally broke through the silence. Her voice was calm, but it carried the weight of centuries. Because the galaxy does not understand, it makes noise. It shouts its name into the void, and the void listens. Her eyes darkened, and the void answers. The explorers begged for clarity. What was in the void? What hunted them? But the woman only shook her head. "We are not your enemy. We are your shield. The predators cannot find us if we do not speak. And if we are silent, they cannot find you either. But your council, your empires, your endless chatter across the stars, you are leading them here." Her words struck like a blade. The crew realized the truth. The humans were not hiding from the galaxy. They were hiding the galaxy itself. Their silence was protection, not just for themselves, but for all. The youngest crew member's voice cracked as she asked, "Then why warn us? Why not stay hidden?" The woman's eyes grew colder. "Because you came too close. And now, they may have heard." The ground seemed to shake beneath their feet, not from her words, but from something distant, something deep. The crew turned their eyes to the sky, and for a moment, they thought they saw movement among the stars, shapes too large, too vast, too terrible to name. Their blood turned to ice. The predators were not stories. They were real. And they were listening. The humans gave no further answers. They turned away, fading back into the silent forests, leaving the alien crew with their terror. The explorers fled back to their ship, hearts pounding, ears ringing with the ghost of the humans' warning. The void answers. As their vessel rose into the sky, silence surrounded them again. Heavier, now alive with unseen eyes, they understood at last why the galactic map ended at human space. The humans were not weak. They were not vanished. They were the wall, the last barrier between the galaxy and the things that lurked beyond. The alien crew sat in silence as their ship drifted away from the green planet. No one spoke. No one dared. They knew that every word, every signal, every sound was a risk. The silence had become a cage around their hearts. And in that cage, a terrible truth waited. The galaxy had been living loudly, carelessly, blind to the ears that pressed against its borders. But the humans had heard. The humans had seen. And the humans had chosen silence, not for themselves alone, but for everyone. Now, the explorers carried that truth with them, a burden too heavy to escape. They could not unhear the warning. They could not unsee the wreckage. And they could not forget the shadows that shifted in the distant stars. For the first time, they wished for silence too. The alien ship drifted through the quiet of human space, carrying with it a secret too heavy for words. The crew did not speak. They hardly breathed. Each one felt the weight of what they had seen, what they had heard, what they now knew. Silence was no longer strange to them. It had become a shield, a prison, a burden, and a truth they could not escape. For in silence, humanity had survived. And in silence, the galaxy might still be saved, if it listened. The journey back toward. The border was long, but the humans never left them. Their black ships lingered at a distance, never closer than shadows, never farther than eyes. They were escorts, guardians, and jailers all at once. Not a word was spoken between them. Not a light flickered. Yet the alien crew knew they were being guided, pushed back to the galaxy that had sent them. Humans would not allow them to wander further. They had seen enough, perhaps too much. The silence of the human fleet was not threat alone. It was judgment. The explorers had asked for answers, and the humans had given them more than answers. They had given them a choice. What to do with the truth was no longer in human hands. It was in theirs. At last, the border of human space came into view, marked not by walls or weapons, but by the sudden return of sound. The universe beyond hummed with signals again, the chatter of empires, the laughter of traitors, the endless noise of life that had never learned to fear. It was almost overwhelming. After days in silence, the voices of the galaxy felt deafening. The crew recoiled as if struck. The captain raised a hand to quiet them, though they were already quiet. "Do not speak," he whispered. "Not yet. Not here." His voice trembled, not with command, but with terror. Even his words felt like danger. And then, as they crossed the final line, the human fleet stopped. One by one, their black ships vanished into the void, slipping away without sound, like shadows swallowed by the night. The alien crew stared after them, but no farewell came. No final warning. Only silence. The message was clear. The humans would not follow them further. The galaxy was theirs again, but the humans had given them something that could not be returned. Knowledge. The predators were real. The silence was not weakness. It was survival. And the wall was thin,